Hello and welcome to today's story behind the song. And today's song is Monkey. It's a song that didn't make it onto the album, but I really wanted it to be on the album. But it first appeared on the Skin Up EP, which was made up of Look But Don't Touch, Shine Your Light, and then the track that wasn't on the album was Monkey. And the record company wanted this special track that no one could get anywhere else, so that it would make people buy it. The way that the song came about, it was a co-write, and it's out of all the songs I've ever co-written with people in Skin, it's my favorite one. It was written with a very talented singer called Glenn Burtnick. He was the singer in Styx. They had recorded a song called Love is the Ritual, or Love is a Ritual, and I'd heard this song and I really liked it, and our mutual publisher made the phone call and hooked us up, and we just met up in our publisher's offices actually, and he came, Glenn, and a very quiet guy with his little, I remember he had this little satchel that had these pen and paper in it, and we just went into a little room and just started playing some ideas. I had a riff. The riff I had wasn't the introduction riff, it was the verse riff. And that was the initial thing that I played him, and he sort of instantly sort of latched onto it, and he started to write these lyrics. And I think Glenn wrote all the lyrics to this song, because when I look at them, they're way too good for me. And that was the initial thing, and then we came up with this little bridge. You know, at the time I was thinking we needed, you know, like a Guns N' Roses type vibe. AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, those big sort of open chords, which I like. And so it's straight down the middle rock and roll. And you know, Glenn came up with all of these great lyrics, and it was just you know, another one of those bare bones ideas where it's just melody, guitar, very similar to what you just hear now, just with three people like throwing in ideas and a structure sort of coming out of it. The riff, the introduction riff, I think came later, which is I think that, you know, a whole bunch of other stuff got added on down the line, but the probably about 75% of the song got written in this little room. And you know, I always expected it to be on the album, but it never sort of really materialized that way. And I always thought it should have been a much bigger song than it was for the band. I think purely because people didn't know it that well, because it only appeared on the EP. It kind of dropped down from our set, but it was a song that people were asking for, you know, all the way through our sort of period of Skin. So that's a little regret that I have about that song not making it onto the record. And another thing about that particular song is it had probably the best drumming on the whole album. It's just full of brilliant drumming all the way through, you know, and probably something that I want to talk about as the additional thing to the song is, you know, probably something that I haven't talked about enough was, you know, within the rhythm section of Skin, you had Dickie Fleaser on drums and you had Andy Robbins on bass. You know, probably they were both machines, really. At the time, it was very easy to take for granted each member of the band, because we were just so driven and on the same wavelength. One of the things at the time that I, once again just took for granted is that when we went on stage, no one made mistakes. I think in the entire 7 years that we were together, however long it was, I think Dickie made 2 mistakes in 7 years. And to this day, I can't think of a single mistake that Andy ever made. You're talking about people that would record the entire bass of an album in 2 days, to the level of master. I mean, I think Dickie maybe took 3 days to record all of the drums to the whole album, and this was pretty much standard. They just, and it just is such a wonderful feeling to go on stage knowing that no one's going to mess up. I mean, I've worked with drummers who mess up more in one gig than Dickie did in an entire career. They were unbelievably consistent. When they went to rehearsals, they knew all the songs. Every gig, they went up to the mics, they hit every harmony. It was just like a machine. It's like, and when you know that is going on, you can just fully focus on what you have to play. So much of my time is spent just making sure that people are playing the right parts. And the other thing that very much worked in, I mean, what we're talking about now here is the dynamic within bands, because, you have such you can have bands, let's just say, early Rolling Stones or early Guns N' Roses, and there's a huge area of looseness to their playing. It adds a danger and it adds a element of excitement that you never quite know what's going, and everyone's sort of keeping a check on each other. Or you can go to the extreme version of that, and you can take a band like Judas Priest or the Scorpions, where it is precise, it's absolutely meticulous, and you know where everyone's going to be, and it's just like you do not deviate from this structure. And then you have everything in between. I'm not saying that anything is wrong or right, but every band has its place within that scale. And one of my favorite bands is AC/DC, and the thing about AC/DC is the absolute discipline of just playing the bare bones of it. Musicians often have the temptation to, I'm going to put this little run in here, or I'm going to put this drum fill in, and they sort of like deviate from what the recording was. And if you think about jazz, that's, it's all improvisation. There is no, there's just a very skeleton of a structure, and all of it's improvisation. And then you get the opposite to that. And the thing about Skin, and especially about the way that I write, it's all about, this is the structure. You play this bass line, you play this drum fill, and it's all very meticulously planned out. And the members of Skin, they locked into that completely. They never overplayed. They played exactly what was needed, and we could more or less play the same with the same precision each night. And like I say, the consistency levels with the band members was like no other band I've ever been in. And so to get that combination, once again, some can say very lucky, but then the other thing is that like-minded people attract. So naturally as a person, I kind of gravitate towards quiet people more than loud people, and all of the members of Skin were very quiet. They kept themselves to themselves, and they were very happy in their own company. And when we played live, that each person had complete assurance that the other person was not going to mess up. And so that was another huge reason why Skin, in my mind, was successful, was that, you know, we worked very much as a team as when we were together. And the other thing what was amazing, at the time I also took it for granted, is that I could change arrangements very, very quickly, and they would just learn them on the spot, as if they'd been playing it for years. Whereas subsequently I've worked with musicians, and it takes them forever to make a change. You know, you can play a song one way, and because of the nature of how I write, I'm changing things all the time. It's like, okay, I've come up with a new middle eight, or I've got a new chorus. No, this is a new melody line, and we need to change all the harmonies. You know, so within the dynamic of Skin, all three of them sort of gave me that allowed me the musical direction to be able to change all of these parts, and they went along with it and trusted my judgment throughout that period. Whenever if I'm working with musicians, if there's a lot of people going, no, let's do it like this, and it, you know, generally it doesn't work. You know, each band has to have leaders and followers within it, and if you have too many leaders, you know, then it's likely to fall apart, and if you've got too many followers, then nothing ever gets done. You know, so it's all about creating the happy balance, and within Skin, within that period, we definitely worked as a unit. So that's my little story for the day. Like I say, Monkey is a song that I really wish that had a much wider platform and a wider audience, because I really think it was one of the best songs from that period of time. All right, I hope you enjoyed it, and until the next time, see ya.